Tonight, beneath the slow rhythm of the rain, we drift into the parrot's dreamy tale. This is your bedtime story, your sleep story, your gentle, relaxing story, and your quiet guided sleep meditation whispered to you by Evelyn Blackwood from Midnight Murmurs Radio. Close your eyes now, my dear listener. Let your body rest heavy against the bed, the sheets soft as clouds beneath you. Inhale deeply through your nose. Hold it for a moment. Then exhale slowly, letting go of every worry, every noise from the day. Feel your heartbeat calm. Your thoughts melt away like raindrops sliding down a window pane. Let the sound of rain be your lullaby tonight. Each drop carries you further from the waking world into a quiet place where stories breathe between dreams. Somewhere in the far southern coast of America, wrapped by palms and salt winds, there stands an old seaside inn called the Azure Haven. Wooden shutters sway gently, painted blue long ago but faded now to a ghostly gray. Candles flicker behind its fogged windows, and on the second-floor balcony, beneath a crooked lantern, perches a Parrot, emerald feathers dulled by time, its eyes the color of a storm. They call it Captain's Echo. No one remembers when the bird first arrived, but every night it speaks, not with the sharp mimicry of parrots, but in slow, drowsy murmurs, words that sound almost human. The innkeeper, Eleanor Marsh, says the bird came back alone after a shipwreck more than a century ago. Its owner, Captain Armand Leckler, vanished into the sea one August night of 1899. Only the bird returned, its wings heavy with salt, eyes hollow as if it had stared too long into another world. Since then, each time the rain falls, the parrot begins to dream aloud, whispering fragments of a life it once knew. Tonight, as thunder hums far beyond the shore, Eleanor lights a single candle and opens the shutters. The air smells of wet wood and distant lightning. From below, the soft patter of rain plays against the roof like 1,000 heartbeats. Evelyn's voice lowers, calm and steady. "You can hear it now," she says, the sound of time unraveling. And there, through the curtain of rain, comes the parrot's first murmur. A soft, trembling phrase. "Gee, Dodgers, return, always, always." The words hang between worlds, fragile as mist. Eleanor freezes, her hands trembling around the candle. It's the same phrase the captain once wrote in his final letter before his ship vanished. A letter now kept inside a glass frame at the inn's entrance. For a moment, it feels as if the parrot remembers. Its feathers shiver, and the candlelight flickers across the old brass cage. Beyond the walls, rain thickens, steady and hypnotic. The inn sighs with age, beams creak, the ocean hums. The air smells of rust and jasmine. You, the listener, are still lying there, safe, warm, breathing with the rhythm of the rain. Evelyn whispers again, "Let it carry you deeper. There's no hurry here, only rain, memory, and the hush between dreams." In the distance, a bell chimes once the hour unknown. Somewhere between the waking and the dreaming, the parrot's eyes gleam. It speaks again, slower this time, as if trapped between languages. The sea remembers. She always remembers. Eleanor listens, tears glistening in her eyes. She swears the bird sounds just like him. The captain. The rain outside grows heavier, a constant sheet of silver washing over the world. And in that moment, you can almost see him to a shadowed figure in an old naval coat, standing at the edge of the balcony, one hand resting on the bird's cage. Lightning flashes briefly, then fades. Only the sound of rain remains. Evelyn's voice softens to a whisper, floating between the drops. You are safe here, my dear listener. Let the rain cleanse your thoughts. Let this story wrap around you like a dream. The night will hold you. The parrot closes its eyes. Its feathers tremble once, then still, and beneath the whisper of the rain, you can almost hear it sigh. Not from this world, but from the one beyond. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. Asterisk. The candle trembles as the wind sighs through the narrow hallway. Rain slides down the window in long, liquid threads, painting silver rivers across the glass. Inside the azure haven, the world feels half asleep. Each sound muffled, each shadow soft. Evelyn's voice drifts low, barely above a whisper. Some say, she murmurs, that when the soul cannot rest, it seeks something living to speak through. Eleanor Marsh moves closer to the parrot's cage. Its eyes, bright and unreadable, seem to follow her. The old brass bars gleam faintly in the candlelight. On a nearby table, a small journal lies open, pages curled, words blurred by age and humidity. It once belonged to Captain Leckler. Eleanor hesitates, fingers trembling before she touches the brittle paper. The ink has bled into the fibers, but one line remains clear, written in elegant strokes. If the storm takes me, may the wind carry my words home. Outside, thunder rumbles softly, far and patient, as if listening. The parrot shifts, feathers rustling, then, in a tone not quite its own, it whispers, Eleanor. She waits. She still waits by the harbor. The innkeeper gasps. Who? She breathes, but the bird only blinks, its head tilting as if hearing something beyond mortal range. Evelyn's narration weaves through the quiet. Dreams are strange vessels, my dear listener. They drift between what was and what still lingers. Sometimes, through the veil of rain, memory finds a voice again. She pauses, and the soundscape swells, rain tapping on old wood, distant thunder, the soft creak of the inn. Eleanor closes the captain's journal, but the whisper lingers inside her chest like a second heartbeat. When she turns toward the stairway, she sees it, a faint trail of wet footprints leading upward, though no one else is awake. The footprints shimmer faintly under candlelight, as if made not by feet, but by shadows shaped like waves. Her breath catches. The flame wavers. Evelyn, she says softly, as though the storyteller herself could hear. He's still here, Evelyn's voice answers, in the dark, steady and calm. Perhaps, or perhaps what you see is the dream he left behind. The parrot lets out a sound, not a squawk, but a sigh, weary and soft. Detive. It's coming. It murmurs. The inn itself seems to breathe. Wood settles. the storm deepens. Somewhere above, a shutter slams open and closed, like a heartbeat. Trying to remember its rhythm, Eleanor climbs the stairs. Her candlelight dances against faded portraits, faces of sailors, guests long gone, their eyes glinting faintly as though alive. On the landing, she stops. A faint glow seeps from the attic door, the door that has been locked since the captain's disappearance. She should not open it, but the rain whispers insistently, and the parrot downstairs begins to hum. A low, melodic rhythm that sounds almost like an old sea shanty. She turns the handle. It creaks softly, the smell of salt and cedar spilling out. Inside, the attic feels like a ship's cabin. Ropes, crates, maps, a compass. Frozen, and there, on a dusty table, rests another candle, already burning. Eleanor steps closer. The flame doesn't flicker, even as she breathes. Beneath it lies a single feather, deep green and glistening wet, though the attic is dry. Evelyn whispers to the listener, "Sometimes the past doesn't die. It waits. It waits." The rain softens, fading to a rhythmic hush, as though the world itself is listening. Eleanor touches the feather, and for a heartbeat the attic tilts, floorboards swaying as if she were aboard a ship. Wind roars through her mind. Salt fills her lungs. She sees flashes, waves, lightning. A man standing against the mast, shouting her name. The captain's voice, clear as a bell. "Eleanor, forgive me." Then, silence. She opens her eyes. The attic is still again. The candle burns low, and the feather has turned to ash. Below, the parrot murmurs once more. "Home, almost home." Evelyn's voice returns, softer now, floating like mist over the sound of the rain. "You can rest now, my dear listener. The sea has a long memory, but tonight it only dreams. Breathe with it, slow, calm, unhurried. Let the rain wash the edges of your thoughts. The night is holding you gently. The candle dims. The in exhales. And somewhere between thunder and dream, the parrot begins to sing a lullaby from a century ago, carried by the rain into your sleep. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. Outside, the storm drifts into a lull, not ending, only softening, like an old song reaching its final verse. The parrot downstairs has gone silent, yet its silence feels alive, pulsing faintly in the air, like the echo of a heart still dreaming. Eleanor stands in the attic, her candle a dying ember. Dust motes turn slowly in the golden light, floating as if under water. Somewhere, a drop of rain finds its way through the roof and lands on the wooden desk beside her. She watches it spread, a small dark circle blooming across an envelope long forgotten. The paper is stiff, sealed with a crest shaped like a compass. Her breath hitches. She knows that seal. It belonged to Captain Leclerc. Evelyn's voice hums softly through the dark. Some letters never reach their shore. Some messages drift between worlds, waiting for someone kind enough to listen. Eleanor breaks the seal with careful fingers. Inside, the ink has faded, but the words still hum with life. as though the writer's voice has been sleeping, waiting to be read aloud. My dearest Eleanor, it begins. If you find this, then the sea has taken me, but my heart remains tied to the shore where you stand. I have seen the sky split open by lightning, and I know the storm will not spare me. Yet even as the waves rise, I am not afraid, for I have sent my voice ahead, carried by a creature that knows no fear. Listen for him when the rain falls. He will speak when I cannot. The rest of the page dissolves into water stains and ghostly ink. Eleanor presses her hand against her mouth, her heart trembling like the candle's flame. He sent the parrot, she whispers. Evelyn's voice deepens, soft and resonant. Love leaves traces, even after the world forgets. Perhaps that's why the bird still dreams not of the sea, but of the promise it was meant to keep. From downstairs comes a faint sound, a shuffle of wings, a single note of song. Eleanor looks up, startled, then moves toward the stairway. The candle burns low, its light dancing across portraits and beams as she descends. Each step creaks like the slow ticking of an ancient clock. When she reaches the parlor, she stops. The parrot's cage stands open. The bird is gone. Only rain remains, steady, eternal. On the table beside the cage, a single wet footprint gleams under the candlelight, shaped not like a bird's claw, but like the bare foot of a man. The air is thick with salt and memory. Evelyn whispers, "In this house, time folds softly. What we call haunting may only be longing that forgot how to fade." Eleanor turns toward the window. Through the curtain of rain, she sees a shadow, tall, indistinct, standing by the edge of the garden where the sea meets the earth. A lantern glows faintly in his hand. The figure does not move, but the light trembles as though caught between storms. "Armand," she breathes, barely a sound. The name vanishes into rain. For a moment, she feels herself drifting. Her feet light, her breath distant. The world slows, and everything the rain. Her pulse blends into one long sigh. Then the candle goes out. Darkness swells gently around her. The sound of wings passes near her ear, soft as breath. "Home?" the parrot whispers somewhere in the dark. "He's almost home." Evelyn's voice follows, a whisper wrapped in comfort. "Do not fear the dark, my dear listener. Sometimes darkness is only a door waiting to open. Sometimes rain is just a bridge between two souls that never stopped searching." Thunder hums faintly in the distance. Eleanor closes her eyes. In her mind she sees the captain again, standing beneath the same rain, hand outstretched, waiting. The parrot circles above him, feathers shimmering like emerald flame. Then, in one quiet heartbeat, they both fade, one into the sea, the other into sleep. The inn grows still. The storm retreats beyond the horizon. Evelyn breathes, soft and slow. And you, too, can rest now. Let the echoes of rain carry you somewhere safe, somewhere gentle. The night forgives all who listen. The final sound is the parrot's lullaby, a low, wavering tune that might once have been a sailor's song. It fades, carried by the rain, into the quiet where dreams begin. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. The night stretches thin, the rain slowing to a steady hush that feels almost alive. Somewhere beyond the walls of the azure haven, the sea breathes in long, even sighs, like a creature falling asleep. Evelyn's voice drifts through the quiet, slower now, dreamlike, as if each word were being remembered rather than spoken. There are moments, she whispers, when the storyteller forgets which world she belongs to, when the voice she hears is not her own, but something older, calling from the dark. The recording hums softly in the background, the sound of rain against old glass, a faint crackle from the mic, a rhythm that feels like the heartbeat of the storm itself. Evelyn closes her eyes. She's no longer sure if she's narrating or listening, because now, through the rain, she hears it again, the parrot's voice. Not the clear mimicry of an animal, but a whisper that seems to weave through her breath. Evelyn, it says, gentle, almost kind. Se. Pauses. The sound isn't coming from the inn. It's coming from her headphones. She removes them, but the voice remains soft, persistent, echoing from somewhere between the static and the rain. Do you remember the harbor? The words feel both foreign and familiar, as Doug says, streaming someone else's memory. In her mind's eye, she sees it, a coastline under a silver storm, a lantern swinging in the wind, and a voice, a man's voice, calling her name in another century. She inhales, slow and trembling. This is just a dream, she tells herself, but the rain answers, whispering against her window, like a hand brushing the past. We all dream through others, the parrot murmurs in her ear. You tell these stories. We live in them. Evelyn's fingers tighten on the microphone. The air in her studio feels heavy, scented faintly with salt. Impossible, since she lives miles inland. The monitors flicker. The rain sound she recorded last week now pulses as if syncing with her heartbeat. The world narrows to breath and sound. She begins to speak again, her voice calm, though her chest trembles. Eleanor stood in the darkened inn. She narrates softly, listening to the sea whisper through her walls. But what if it was not the sea? What if it was someone, somewhere, trying to remember her name? Asse speaks, the words come easier, too easy, as though someone else is guiding her tongue. The story flows through her images, sensations, half-remembered phrases. She sees Eleanor lighting the final candle, sees the parrot perched upon the sill, rain dripping from its wings. The bird turns its head and looks at her. No, through her. And in that instant, Evelyn realizes she's no longer the narrator. She's in the story. Her reflection on the studio glass flickers for a heartbeat. She's standing in the inn's parlor, candle in hand, listening to the same storm that rages across time. The parrot speaks again. Tell him she forgave him. Evelyn's lips move before she understands the words. She forgave him, she whispers. He may come home now. And somewhere in that moment, far out at sea, beneath waves or within dreams, something stirs. The feeling is vast, sorrowful, and serene. A century's worth of waiting exhales. Then Silence. The parrot bows its head, feathers trembling in the candlelight. Outside, dawn begins to touch the horizon. Pale and uncertain, Evelyn opens her eyes. She's back in her studio. The rain has stopped. Her microphone light glows steady, and the recording has ended itself, though she doesn't remember pressing stop. On the waveform, there's something strange. A soft voice, not hers, layered beneath the rain. A man's whisper, faint but clear. Merci for bringing me home. Evelyn sits in the stillness, her breath slow, eyes shining with quiet wonder. The parrot's dream was never just a story. It was a bridge, a soul's final message carried through a century of storms, waiting for someone to listen deeply enough. She leans back, closes her eyes once more, and lets the quiet cradle her. If you can still hear the rain, she whispers, you're still between dreams. Stay there a little longer. The world will wait. The night sighs its last breath. The sea hums low, and peace settles like soft wings upon the listener. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. The storm has drifted far from the shore, leaving only its memory behind, a thin shimmer of silver mist clinging to the windows. The faint scent of salt and wet cedar lingering in the air. Inside the Asha Haven, the silence feels alive, like the world holding its breath after a long sigh. The parrot rests upon the window ledge, feathers ruffled but peaceful now, its eyes half closed, reflecting the soft dawn light. Eleanor sits nearby, her hands folded around a cup of tea gone cold. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. Everything that needed saying has already passed between the rain and the quiet. Evelyn's voice is soft, almost transparent. There is a kind of peace that comes only after the storm, she murmurs, when the world feels new, and even the smallest sound, a raindrop, a heartbeat, feels sacred. You can hear it in the background. The slow, rhythmic drip from the eaves, the distant hum of the ocean breathing against the sand. A seagull cries once, faint and far away. Somewhere, a window creaks open to let in the dawn breeze. Eleanor closes her eyes, listening. For the first time in years, the inn feels light. The walls no longer whisper. The candle on the table burns steady. The parrot turns its head toward her and lets out a low, contented chirr. No words, no echoes, only peace. Evelyn's voice falls into rhythm with the sounds around her. Breathe with the rain. She whispers, in through your nose, slowly, hold, and out again, gentle as a wave touching sand. The air grows softer. Even the shadows seem to move slower now, curling around the edges of furniture like calm water. You've walked far tonight, Evelyn continues, her tone barely above a sigh. Through storms, through memory, through the sound of forgotten dreams. Now you can rest. You've come home. Eleanor looks toward the window where the parrot preens quietly. She swears for a moment she hears another sound, the faintest echo of a man's laughter carried by the morning wind. Low and tender. It fades almost instantly, yet it leaves her smiling. She rises, walks to the window, and opens it wider. The air that enters is cool and alive with the scent of the sea. The bird steps closer to her hand, but doesn't fly. Instead, it leans its head against her fingers, and for the first time, she feels no chill, only warmth. Rest, now, she whispers to it. We're both home. Evelyn's voice returns, soothing and slow. Sometimes peace isn't loud or grand. It's a quiet room, a gentle breath, a heart that no longer needs to remember every storm. It's the sound of rain retreating into sky. In the distance, the first sunlight brushes across the waves, painting gold over gray. Then hums, faintly floorboards creaking in relief, the old timbers exhaling centuries of sleep. The parrot closes its eyes fully, feathers settling. The air still carries the rhythm of rain, though the storm has gone. It's the kind of sound you can almost feel rather than hear. Soft, repeating, eternal. Evelyn's tone grows even lower now, wrapping the listener like a blanket. Let the quiet reach you. Let your breath fall into the same rhythm as the rain outside. Slow, gentle, safe, a pause. Only silence and the faint brush of wind through leaves. If you listen carefully, she adds, you might still hear them, the whispers of those who found their way home, the stories that live in the hush between one drop of rain and the next. They are not haunting you. They are thanking you for listening. The last of the candle's flame bends and settles into stillness. Eleanor leans her head against the window frame, her eyes half closed, heart calm. The parrot's breathing slows. Outside, the tide turns, and morning fully takes hold. Evelyn's voice is now just a whisper, soft, fading, endless. The night has kept its promise. You've arrived where you were meant to be. There's nothing left to do, nothing left to hold, only peace, and the sound of rain far, far away. The recording ends not with a word, but with the softest sound of air moving through feathers, one last sigh, one last note of home. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. There is a hush that comes only before dawn, when the world lies between dreaming and waking, when even time itself hesitates to move forward. Inside the azure haven, that hush feels sacred. The parrot sleeps upon the windowsill, wings slightly open, like a small green lantern dimming beneath the pale silver of the sky. Eleanor has drifted into her own quiet slumber in the rocking chair, her hair undone, her breath slow and deep. The inn breathes with her wood, stone, sea, and memory, finally at rest together. Evelyn's voice returns, tender and close. Astug says, speaking from the space just above your shoulder. The storm has told its story, she whispers. The rain has carried it away, and now only dreams remain. Outside, the world is still shimmering with the echo of rainfall. Droplets hang on the tips of wild grass, trembling in the dawn light. The ocean murmurs like a sleeping giant, steady and eternal. The sound of rain softens into rhythm, a lullaby sung by nature itself. If you listen carefully, Evelyn continues, her voice blending with the soundscape, you can hear the rain remembering. It hums for the lonely travelers, for the souls who waited too long by forgotten windows, for the small hearts that dreamed of flight. The parrot stirs slightly, its wings fluttering once, as if it too hears the call. In that fragile moment, Eleanor's dream merges with the morning. She walks beside the sea, barefoot, her hand outstretched. The parrot flies above her, free, a trail of light, following its path. But when she turns to look again, she realizes she's alone, and yet she smiles, for loneliness, tonight, feels like peace. The air carries a faint fragrance of hibiscus and cedar smoke. The horizon glows faintly gold. Evelyn speaks again, slower now, letting each word dissolve into the sound of the sea. In every dream, there is a place where you can rest, a quiet shore waiting just for you. You don't need to reach it quickly, just drift. The waves will take you there. Her tone lowers further, softer, like rain through silk. The parrot has found its home. Eleanor has found her peace. And now it's your turn. Let go of the day. Let go of every sound that doesn't belong to the rain. The room darkens, though dawn has already risen, that gentle, dreamlike paradox between waking and sleeping. The listener can almost see the candle flicker in one last time, the window curtains swaying with the breath of wind that carries distant thunder retreating over the hills. Evelyn's words come like waves, now slow, rhythmic, endless. You are safe. You are warm. You are home. A long silence follows. Only the steady patter of light rain, the hum of the ocean, and the quiet pulse of your own heartbeat. If this story has kept you company tonight, Evelyn Murmurs, I invite you to stay a little longer with us. Subscribe to Midnight Murmurs Radio so we can meet again in another dream, another whisper, another night touched by rain. Her tone melts into near silence. Until then, sleep deeply, dream softly, and let the sound of rain carry you to a place where morning never rushes. The parrot's last breath of sound, a low, gentle trill, echoes like a lullaby fading into the sea mist. Then the world narrows to nothing but rain, heartbeat, and stillness. Evelyn's final whisper drifts through that quiet. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep. Somewhere beyond the hush of the rain, beyond the slow rhythm of waves brushing the shore, the parrot begins to dream. In the stillness of the azure haven, time unravels and its small, tired heart drifts through the veil between worlds. Evelyn's voice returns, slow and low, as Stug says, following the bird through a realm unseen. Dreams, she murmurs, are where forgotten memories come to breathe again. The parrot finds itself standing on the branch of a tree that gleams like moonlight frozen in glass. Beneath it, an endless lake mirrors the stars, each reflection rippling softly with the echo of rain. The air smells of cedar and something older, like candle smoke mixed with ancient wind. Every sound here is both familiar and strange. The whisper of wings, the hum of forgotten lullabies, the faint chime of a bell that might not exist. The bird tilts its head. Somewhere in the shimmering distance, it sees a figure, a young woman in white, her hair flowing as if stirred by invisible tides. Her face is serene, but her eyes shimmer with something like recognition. When she speaks, her voice sounds like Eleanor's, yet younger, clearer. "You've come back," she says gently. "I've been waiting since the last rain." The parrot blinks, unsure whether to fly or stay. but the lake's surface calls softly, reflecting not the sky, but rooms, hallways, candlelight, a woman reading letters by the window of the inn long ago. In ea tripla, the Parrot sees flashes of another life, its own wings trapped in a gilded cage, a pair of hands opening it to the storm, a promise whispered. Fly home when the rain returns. Evelyn's tone drifts with the dream, her words slow and liquid. Some spirits are bound not by chains, but by memory. They linger in the echo of kindness, in the warmth of hands that once set them free. The lake brightens, and for a moment the bird sees itself multiplied. Hundreds of reflections fluttering like green lanterns across the surface. Every reflection breathes, every wing beats once, and from each movement rises a sound, a chorus of whispers. Words the bird can almost understand. We remember. We return. The woman in white raises her hand, and from her palm falls a single silver feather that drifts downward, landing on the surface of the lake without a ripple. When the storm comes again, she says softly, "Follow the rain. It will lead you where you began." The air trembles. The lake begins to fade. The bird's wings grow heavy, as though rain is falling through the dream itself. The woman steps backward into the mist until she's gone, leaving behind only her voice. All things find their home when they remember their name. Evelyn's whisper folds into the moment, echoing through the sound of rain beyond the dream. Perhaps we, too, are like the parrot, she says, carrying the songs of those who once loved us, keeping them alive through every storm. The scene begins to dissolve, the lake, the glass tree, the mist, until all that remains is the gentle rhythm of feathers against air. The parrot feels the weight of sleep tugging it back toward the world of the living. Its heart slows. The rain deepens, and before the dream fades completely, it hears a final sound. The chime of that distant bell, low and beautiful, like time itself remembering. Then the world is rain again. The dream folds into silence. Evelyn's voice returns, quiet as breath. "Let this sound guide you," she murmurs. "Let it carry you deeper. There is more to remember." And the rain knows the way. The dream deepens. The parrot drifts through a curtain of silver mist, its wings brushing through droplets that never fall, only hover, caught in time like glass beads, trembling in the air. Beneath the veil, a soft light glows, revealing cobblestone streets glistening with rain. Tiny houses made of driftwood and old sea glass line both sides of a narrow lane. Their windows flicker with candlelight, yet no smoke rises from the chimneys. The village hums faintly, like the echo of a lullaby sung in another century. Evelyn's voice follows, a slow, tender whisper. They say there are places the rain never leaves, places built from memory, where souls wander, not in sorrow, but in waiting. The parrot lands upon a lamppost, its reflection wavering in a puddle below. The puddle is deep, impossibly deep, as though it leads to another sky beneath the earth. Through the shimmering water, faint figures move, shadows of people walking, pausing, whispering to someone unseen. Their steps make no sound, yet the ripples speak. "Welcome home," they seem to murmur. A faint chime drifts through the mist one. Then another, soft as breath. Somewhere in the distance, a church bell tolls its note long and low, blending with the eternal sound of rain. The parrot tilts its head. It recognizes that sound. It had heard it once, long ago, when it was still alive, perched inside a cage near Eleanor's window. It was the same bell that marked every passing storm. Now, in this dream, the bell seems alive. Not a sound of warning, but of calling. The parrot spreads its wings and glides down the empty lane. Beneath its feathers, the puddles shimmer brighter, each one reflecting not the sky, but fragments of memory. A young sailor writing a letter before he sails away. A mother lighting a lantern by her child's bed. An old man repairing a roof beneath steady rain. Each image fades as quickly as it appears, as though the dream breathes them in and out. Dreams, Evelyn whispers, are not made of fantasy, but of remembrance. Every drop of rain carries a story back to where it began. The parrot pauses before a small chapel at the heart of the village. Ivy drapes its walls like a velvet curtain, and the stained glass windows gleam with shifting colors, blues, greens, and soft amber. The doors creak open, though no one stands there. Inside, candles burn though no hands have lit them. A single feather, silver and weightless, lies upon the altar. The parrot hops closer, and the air trembles. The sound of the bell grows distant, replaced by whispers. Voices too faint to separate, speaking in the rhythm of rainfall. Follow the song. Remember the promise. The feather lifts from the altar and hovers before the parrot. Its edges glow faintly with light that feels warm, familiar. As the bird reaches toward it, the chapel walls dissolve into waves. The entire village begins to shimmer and sway, houses bending like reflections in water, candles stretching into threads of gold. Some dreams, Evelyn murmurs, her voice almost dissolving into rain, do not belong to sleep. They are doors, and once opened, they cannot be forgotten. The parrot beats its wings. Once the silver feather bursts into 1,000 sparks, each one a raindrop that falls upward into the sky. The village vanishes. The lamplight fades. All that remains is sound. The steady heartbeat of rain and the faint echo of the bell, now distant, almost gone. The parrot floats in darkness, but it is not afraid. It remembers the warmth of Eleanor's hands, the scent of cedar, the murmur of her voice as she whispered goodnight. And somewhere, deep within that darkness, it hears Evelyn's final words of the night. Every storm leaves behind a dream. Every dream leaves behind a light. Follow that light, little one. It will lead you home. The rain fades into silence, leaving only breath, heartbeat, and peace. The world of the dream returns, not with light, but with sound. A soft rustling of wings, the hush of water sliding down unseen walls, the low hum of voices carried on wind that smells of sea salt and old stone. The parrot drifts through the mist again. But this time, the rain feels different. It isn't falling, it's rising. Droplets lift upward like stars returning to the heavens, each one carrying a whisper within. Evelyn's voice floats through the dream, soft as the edge of sleep. Sometimes, when we dream of rain, She murmurs, "We are hearing the world remembering itself." The parrot glides low, its wings slicing through vapor that glows faintly blue. Beneath it, faint outlines of faces shimmer in the mist. Men, women, children, all translucent, all smiling faintly, as though half forgotten by time. Their eyes followed the bird, yet there's no sorrow there, only a quiet longing. "Who are you?" the parrot wants to ask, though no voice leaves its beak. But the rain answers instead, 1,000 tiny whispers blending into one. "We are those who never left the storm." The bird lands upon a broken lantern, half buried in water. Its flame still flickers, though there is no oil, no heat. The parrot feels warmth anyway. The mist parts slowly, revealing the village again, but not as it was before. The houses now appear hollow, their doors swinging open to empty rooms. Music drifts faintly through the air, a lullaby hummed by no one. The puddles no longer reflect stars, but faces. Faces of those who once sought shelter from the rain and never awoke. Evelyn's voice lowers, near whisper, "Every soul that lingers here has forgotten its name." And so the rain keeps falling, tormentum, until someone listens. The parrot closes its eyes. Beneath its feathers, something begins to glow, a faint pulse, like a heart remembering how to beat. Images flicker across the dream. Eleanor sitting alone by candlelight, her tears falling onto a letter never sent, her voice whispering to the bird, "You were never just a pet. You were the last piece of him." The parrot suddenly remembers the sailor in the photographs, the man whose laughter filled the inn before the storm took him away. It had belonged to him first. He had trained it to speak, to mimic laughter, to call her name when the sea grew dark. When his ship never returned, she kept the parrot by her side, the last echo of a life lost to the waves. The rain around the bird thickens, pulsing like a heartbeat. The misted figures draw closer. Their whispers merge. "You remember. That's enough." Evelyn's voice moves through the spacelight, smoke curling through candlelight. Memory is the only bridge between the living and the gone. And when someone remembers, the rain can rest. The parrot lifts its head, feeling a strange pull. A song rising in its throat that doesn't belong to words. It begins to hum a low melodic sound, neither bird nor human. The air shifts. The rain pauses mid-air, as if listening. One by one, the faces in the mist begin to dissolve, not fading in sorrow, but in release. Their outlines turn to droplets, rising upward like scattered stars. The bird keeps singing, its feathers shining brighter, every note unraveling one forgotten name after another. "This," Evelyn whispers, her voice steady and warm, "is what the storm was waiting for. The sound of something remembering and forgiving." The rain falls upward faster now, until the village begins to disappear. The cobblestones melt into reflection, the lamps dim to nothing, and only the echo of the bell remains, a single tone that vibrates through the dream, deep and full of peace. The parrot feels weightless, its wings no longer bound by gravity. Its dream self-furs in the glow of rain light, understanding at last that it was never trapped, only waiting to sing. Evelyn's voice fades into the sound of breath and rainfall. "Perhaps we are all the parrot," she says softly, "carrying the voices of those we've loved, setting them free, one whisper at a time." The dream dims to gray. The last raindrop rises and vanishes. And in the silence that follows, you can almost hear the faintest sound of wings folding, a quiet promise kept. The dream begins to thin, like fog touched by the first thread of dawn. The rain that once rose into the heavens now drifts downward again, slower, quieter, turning from silver to gold. The parrot floats within that falling light, its feathers glowing faintly, each drop of rain a reflection of something once forgotten. A smile, a name, a touch that lingered too long in memory. Evelyn's voice returns, low and close, like she's speaking from the heart of the rain itself. When a soul finishes dreaming, she murmurs, "The world always finds a way to bring it home." The parrot's wings tremble as it begins to descend. The glowing mist parts beneath it, revealing once more the faint outline of the azure haven, the olden by the sea, resting beneath the hush of dawn. The windows glimmer with dew. The candlelight within has burned down to a quiet ember. The world is no longer heavy with storm, only with stillness. The bird lands on the same window ledge where it had fallen asleep. Time feels unfamiliar, neither night nor day, but something softer in between. Eleanor sits by the open window, her hairless eyes half opened, as though she too has just returned from a long dream. Her fingers rest upon a faded photograph, a sailor smiling beside a young woman, and on his shoulder, a small parrot with emerald feathers. The same bird now watches her from the sill, the same look in its eyes. She doesn't speak at first. She only watches, as the morning light spills across the floor like slow-moving honey. The rain outside continues, a delicate rhythm that no longer sounds like sorrow. Evelyn whispers, "There are rains that mourn and rains that forgive. This one forgives." The parrot tilts its head, and from deep within its chest comes a sound Eleanor hasn't heard in years. Not a word, not a mimic, but a soft, melodic hum. The echo of the sailor's laughter wrapped in the hush of waves. Her breath catches. For a moment, she feels the air around her grow warm, like arms she can no longer see embracing her from behind. The teacup on the table trembles slightly, as if moved by a sigh. The inn seems to listen. Floorboards creaking, curtains breathing with the sea breeze, every object remembering the voices that once filled this place. The bird hums again, wings trembling with faint light, and Eleanor whispers through her tears, "You came back." The rain outside shifts, now slower, more tender, each drop falling like a heartbeat returning to stillness. Evelyn's tone grows softer, almost fading into the rhythm. When love waits long enough, even storms learn how to sleep. Eleanor reaches out her hand. The parrot steps forward, pressing its head against her palm. She closes her fingers around it gently, afraid the dream might vanish if she moves too quickly. But it doesn't. The warmth remains. The bird's feathers glimmer faintly, with gold, the last trace of the world it came from. For a fleeting moment, Eleanor sees a second shadow reflected in the window. Beside hers, a man's outline, smiling faintly before dissolving into light. The parrot stirs once more, and the sound that leaves its throat is no longer imitation. It is song, a simple, quiet song made of wind and memory and rain. Evelyn breathes the words like a prayer. Some returns are not of body, but of sound. The echoes that stay when everything else has gone. Outside, the horizon blushes pale pink. The ocean glows. The storm is truly over. Eleanor leans her forehead against the window frame, eyes closed, listening to the birds' gentle song as dawn takes its first breath, and somewhere deep within the air, faint but unmistakable, the bell tolls one last time, not as a warning, as a farewell. The dawn stretches slowly across the horizon, washing the world in soft shades of gold and rose. The sea breathes again, calm, endless, forgiving. The rain has gentled into mist, tracing faint silver lines along the window pane. Eleanor still sits by the open window, the parrot resting quietly in her hands, its eyes half closed, its feathers ruffled slightly by the morning breeze. For the first time in years, she feels no weight pressing on her chest, only the rhythm of the rain, steady and kind. Evelyn's voice returns, quieter now, as though spoken from another world. There are many ways a soul chooses to return, she says. Some come as scent, some as dream, some as sound. We remember them not by sight, but by the echo they leave behind. The parrot tilts its head, and a faint melody hums within its throat, soft like the memory of laughter carried through waves. Eleanor closes her eyes. The melody seems to wrap around her, like the arms of someone she has missed for too long. She doesn't know whether she's awake or still dreaming, but perhaps it no longer matters. The world between sleep and dawn feels wide enough to hold both truth and longing. Evelyn continues, long ago, sailors believed that parrots carried the voices of the departed not as ghosts, but as keepers of memory. They said the birds could remember storms, prayers, and names that the wind refused to forget. A pause. The sound of the rain deepens, like the earth breathing. Maybe that's why this little one dreamed, she whispers, not to escape the world, but to bring someone home. Eleanor opens her eyes again. The light has shifted warmer now, full of dust motes, drifting like tiny souls. She whispers softly, "He used to sing that song before every voyage." The parrot chirps, not an echo this time, but a note of its own, a living sound, born from both memory and presence. The walls of the azure haven seem to glow faintly, the wooden beams creaking in a familiar rhythm, as though the inn itself is exhaling after a long silence. Evelyn's tone turns tender, almost reverent. When love is true, it doesn't end with absence. It becomes sound, the quiet between words, the hush before the rain, the hum of wings returning home. Outside, the clouds begin to part. The ocean mirrors the pale light of morning, endless and still. Eleanor releases the parrot gently. It hops onto the windowsill, feathers bright again, ready to meet the world. The bird turns once more toward her, eyes gleaming with that same ancient knowing, the kind that carries both farewell and peace. Then, with a soft flutter, it rises into the mist. No storm, no thunder, just the soft whisper of wings disappearing into the pale sky. The air feels lighter, touched by salt and sunlight. Eleanor sits in silence for a long moment, listening to the last drops of rain fade into quiet. Then, slowly, she hums the tune. The parrot sang low, trembling, but full of life. Evelyn's closing words drift like a sigh. Perhaps the dream was never the bird's alone. Perhaps it was ours, the dream to remember, the dream to forgive, the dream to keep love alive in the sound that remains. And as the final note fades, the sound of the sea merges with the hum of the morning, one endless, peaceful breath between worlds. This is Evelyn Blackwood, and you've been listening to Midnight Murmurs Radio. Outside your window, the rain might still be falling, soft, steady, like the slow heartbeat of the night. Each drop carries a whisper from somewhere far away, maybe from the sea, maybe from a dream you almost forgot. Tonight's story, The Parrot Dreamy Tale, was not just about a bird, nor about a storm, nor even about loss. It was about how sound, gentle, patient sound, can hold what the heart cannot say. If you listen closely enough, the rain will tell you that nothing truly disappears. Not voices. Not memories. Not love. They simply change form, turning into echoes, into warmth, into songs that find their way back to us when we're quiet enough to hear them. So, as the rain lulls you deeper, let go of the day that's past. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts drift like feathers upon the tide. You are safe here, wrapped in calm, surrounded by sound, held by the rhythm of the rain. And if you should dream tonight, may you find yourself by that same old inn by the sea, where the waves hum softly, and a little parrot still sings beneath the window light. Thank you for listening, for sharing this quiet space with me. Until we meet again under another night of murmurs and rain. As the story fades, allow yourself to drift into a peaceful sleep.